So I should start off by saying apologies, guys. It's the holidays. I've been gone for a few days, be with the family. Had a really good time. But we're back today again with a very interesting discourse, and this to me is interesting for a few reasons. But we'll get into that. So you can see the tweet behind me. There's a quick thread. This lady essentially talks about. This is Nigeria, by the way, which makes it even more fascinating because, as I mentioned before, I am Nigerian, and things of this nature are something that I didn't really get a chance to experience or know about when I was there. Like, I didn't grow up there enough to know about them. So any kind of taste or glimpse I get of this excites me quite a bit. And so this lady essentially talks about how her daughter was getting ready for a date. Now, I should probably start by saying I don't know the veracity of the story. Fair enough. She's saying it. I don't know how true it is. But a daughter was getting ready for a date, and her son kind of made a offhand remark about how, he's not really going to be bringing the girl home anytime soon because the girls of his generation really want a lot of money, and clearly it sounds like he doesn't have the money to give them, and so it's very unlikely that he'll be bringing the girl home very soon. And his mom expressed a lot of shock at him saying that, and she was like, since when has this become a thing for girls of this age to kind of ask for this much money? So she asked him more about it, and he said about how girls of this age only really want to date people that have money, and if you don't have money you can't really get them. That's how it went. And so she kind of posted that in shock and kind of wondering, like, is anyone else going through this? You can forgive her ignorance, she's a bit older, although I don't think she's too old. So knowing about the fact that people do want money, this is not really like a recent phenomenon, so again makes me question the veracity of the story. But let's take it for what it is. As usual, the most exciting thing about any conversation like this is always the reaction, not the original conversation itself. And the reaction has surprised me, but also been very illuminating, because it shows a few things. First, the feminism in Nigeria as a political or socio-political theory is extremely underdeveloped. That's probably consistent with the level of development in the country. Given the problems we have in that kind of country, social theory and the advancement of it is probably not what's foremost on people's minds. So the feminism is very much stuck in the era the country seems to be stuck in. It also explains the kind of, so on social media, especially on Twitter, Nigerian men and women are usually at each other's throats for the most part, about different things. And I've always thought that was somewhat of an online phenomenon, but this kind of shows that to me it's not really. So a lot of the reaction to it from the women's side has been very hateful towards the woman. A lot of them are calling her, basically accusing her of aiding and abetting her son's misogyny, because the son was basically pointing out or observing that in his society, in his experience, a lot of the girls at his age demand a lot of money. Now, this is something that everyone already knows. It's actually a quite funny thread that happens probably every few months, where a guy can make a tweet, like a Nigerian guy, and say something like, what's the most outrageous billing you've received lately? Billing, for those of you that don't know, is basically when a girl just asks you, buy me pizza, buy me this. And some of you are like, what? Yes, this literally happens. If I see the thread again, I'll probably do an update to this video. And guys will post, them telling the girl, for example, that they just lost their loved one or something like that, and the girl was like, yeah, I was gonna ask you for money for this. In fact, I know people personally, like relatives. My own brother has been in a relationship with a girl where he's had to pay for a shop for her mum, he's had to lend her money because her dad lost his job. This is not something like, this is not new. Like, my brother's experience is not unique in any way. So the fact that the reactions by so-called feminists, I mean, I guess they're feminists in their own definition, you don't have an official tag for that, but this is not really how feminism really should go. And I'm saying that as a guy, and I'm saying that with some authority, because I'm pretty sure this is not like, this feminism has no serious base, which to some extent I understand, and I'll get to the reaction to that lately, and why I am somewhat sympathetic to it. But the reaction has ranged from, first of all, either denying the reality that there is a very clear financial incentive for dating nowadays. Like, women are going out there seeking men that have more money. It doesn't make sense, but to try and say that doesn't happen, a 17-year-old is probably clearly going to be very aware, or aware enough of this to speak on it, especially based on personal experience. It's that it's gone from denying the existence of this reality to just saying that even if this reality does exist, it's something that was done by men, because a lot of older men date younger girls, and so they're the ones that are causing this kind of financial pressure. Because if a 17-year-old or 18-year-old girl is going around with a guy that's much older, and can afford these things, then when she wants to date people her age, she's gonna always then seek those same luxuries, which makes sense and actually is reflective of something I've been saying for a while, which is like a lot of people use it to dunk on guys when they're like, oh, you're dating someone 4 or 5 years older than you. That's because the girls your age think you're losers. Well, a very small percentage of that is true, but for the most part, it's because girls your age are dating guys older than you, and that's always been the case. When I was in school, I've made the point about, you're 17, 18 in college. The things girls are doing at that age, guys are not doing it. Girls are just developing faster than us socially for whatever reason. When I've gone on holiday, I've seen girls doing solo trips, traveling the world. I've never met a guy doing that. And these girls are 19, 20, 21. If they go back to their own countries and the guys are just thinking about, let's just go to some dinner for a birthday or something, those guys they're not on the same level. So naturally they're gonna date older people. I don't think that's like a thing we have to raise an alarm about, but people love to grandstand for social media. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I put some of the tweets up behind me. A lot of the tweets have been very hateful towards her, which again, you can see why, a lot of the men then start getting angry, because usually you just see like you guys are just both being rational. But when the women are reacting to actually a pretty, heartwarming, I thought, interaction between a guy, a boy and his mum, first of all, him feeling the comfort and confidence to actually share that with her, and then her actually interrogating that, curiously, they've now turned that into, this boy must be an incel, and you must, scold him and tell him, why is he talking about women in such a disgusting way, simply by observing his own reality. So he's meant to close his eyes and pretend this is not a reality that exists. It doesn't make any sense. I think I'll do a part 2 to this video because this part 1 is getting pretty long.